Hello and welcome to the Crown Insight Consulting channel. My name is Tanisha and I'm going to be talking to you today about tips for hiring your first freelance writer. So let's go ahead and get into it. So maybe you're a business owner or professional and you need a writer. Maybe they need to write for you a blog or articles, or maybe you're trying to improve your SEO. So you're looking for someone to create content for you. Whatever the reason for hiring a writer is, just know that hiring a writer is really something that can benefit your business. Maybe you just don't have time, or maybe writing is just not your thing. So hiring a writer is something that can really take your content to the next level. And so I want to help you make the best decision about the writer that you're going to hire. Whether it's a freelancer or a consultant, these tips should be able to help you make the best decision that can save you time, save you money, and maybe even save you frustration. Okay, so the first tip that I'm gonna have is, when you're looking for a writer, don't be afraid to utilize your network. So if you have friends that are business owners, or you have other friends that are professionals, ask them if there's anyone that they know that they would recommend that you could utilize for your writing services for your business. So if that doesn't work out for you, then don't be afraid to utilize online marketplaces like Fiverr and freelancer.com. However, there is one tidbit that I would give you is you have to be careful on these websites, because sometimes you will find that writers will advertise their services for really cheap, but sometimes that means that you might get lower quality work than you expect. So on a website like Fiverr, the starting rate for a writer is $5. And that's only because you can't go any lower than that. I'm sure if people could charge lower than $5, they would, because it's pretty competitive on these websites. So a lot of times people will charge that really low rate so that they can just attract more people to their page. But here's the thing. I would caution against it. I have utilized these marketplaces for services, and sometimes, you just find that the quality can be sacrificed. Even if you do the due diligence to do your homework in the beginning, like looking at their samples and things like that, sometimes what you just get back is not what you expected. So if you are someone that has a conservative budget, maybe try to go a little few dollars higher than $5. So rather than go $5, maybe do $10, maybe do $20. I will say this. Sometimes you can get lucky, and let's say, for example, you have someone who's new on Fiverr and they're a pretty experienced writer, but they don't have that many reviews on Fiverr. And so I don't know if you've ever had to sell services on Fiverr before, but if you have, the less reviews you have, or if you have no reviews at all, it reduces the chance that someone's gonna actually reach out to you for work, because they probably think, oh, is this a scam? Or maybe this person just doesn't really know what they're doing. So when you start out, sometimes you have to put your work for lower until you get more reviews. So maybe you can get lucky and find someone like that, but I would just caution you, if you are going to take that chance, then definitely look at their portfolio, study it. And that brings me to my next point. So you want to look at their portfolio. You want to even ask them, hey, do you have more writing samples if you don't see exactly what your needs are? And what I sometimes do, I'll take a snippet from their portfolio and run it through a plagiarism checker, just to make sure that this person really is the person doing the writing and that they didn't necessarily plagiarize. If I find that they plagiarize this, then I'm definitely not going to be working with them, because nothing is worse than hiring a writer who plagiarizes. Okay, so that's something you should definitely look out for. And don't be afraid to just do some research when you're on Fiverr to understand what the price range is if you're not sure what your budget would be, okay? So just, go through a variety of pages, and then you can kind of come up with an average, because I can tell you the price range on an online marketplace like Fiverr is pretty broad. It can start at $5, and sometimes it can go up to thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars is usually when you have an agency that's pretty well known doing the work, but on average, it really just depends on the quality and experience you're looking for in a writer. I would say, though, if you're looking for something that's not too cheap and not too high, maybe you could target someone. So say, for example, you're looking for someone to write an article for you. Let's say it's a 500 word article. you can probably expect to find someone that's pretty decent, maybe anywhere between $20 and $50 per article. So yeah, that's a tidbit I would give you. Anything less than that, it's kind of risky. Like I said, unless you find someone that's just new and they're just looking to get some experience, okay? So my next tip, and this one I would say is a gem that not too many people utilize, although I feel like every year it's starting to grow more and more in popularity, and that is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is not just a social media network for keeping up with your coworkers, but it has turned into a great resource for finding jobs, whether you're an employer looking for employees or whether you're an employee looking for an employer, but also for freelancers. So there's people that will definitely list their services or just list their profiles, and they're freelancers. So if you pay for the premium version of LinkedIn, you're able to reach out to these people without necessarily being their friends. So this is a great tip that I would tell you to use. And in my opinion, I believe that you can find people of higher quality on LinkedIn. But I would say this, they probably will charge more than someone that you would find on Fiverr. So that's something you may want to keep in mind, but I would definitely highly recommend using LinkedIn. Okay, so once you identify the person that you want to utilize for their writing services, number one, I would recommend choosing maybe about 3 people and then doing consultations with them. And so in this consultation, a few things that you're going to be looking for are, you want to see if, one, do you have the right chemistry with that person? So anytime you're going to be creating something in a partnership, you want to make sure that you and the person have the right chemistry, okay? So that's really going to be important. And you want to use the consultation to really talk to that person and just kind of figure out if that's someone who you want to work with. Okay, so the next thing is you want to use the consultation to ask the right questions. So questions like, have they had clients in similar industries as yours? The one thing I would say is if you're someone in a very niche industry, be a little open-minded when it comes to looking for people that are in your exact industry. So let's say, for example, you're in a very niche industry, like you are a life coach and you help out Christian women, okay? Maybe be open to someone that has a great portfolio, but they haven't necessarily worked with someone in your exact industry. Sometimes you can find quality people and they really have a gift for switching up their style, being diverse, and the type of writing that they are able to do depending on the client need. Someone like me, for example, I've worked with people in the technology industry. I've worked with people in the fashion industry and the restaurant industry and the real estate industry, and I'm capable of switching up my style. So you do have people that are able to do that. You just look at their portfolio, and as you're looking at that portfolio, you want to look at, okay, in these different industries, did the person seem like they really were able to do quality writing? And if so, it may be worth giving them a chance. But I do understand that a lot of times you just want to take the guesswork out of it. You want to reduce your risk and find someone who has dealt with clients exactly like you. But I have to tell you, you'll want to be open-minded in this area, especially if you are someone that has a very niche industry. So the next thing you want to talk about with them is the turnaround times for their work. So depending on what you're working on, it could be articles. Are they going to be able to turn those around in 3 days, or maybe they need a week? So it's important to talk about that up front, just so you can make sure that's something that meets your expectations. So another very important thing, of course, is talking about the price. So before you even go into that consultation meeting, you should do your research to understand what the type of writer usually charges. So maybe they don't have their prices listed up front. Some writers don't, because it really just depends on the type of work that they're taking on. So if they don't, just do some general work to understand what you can expect a freelance writer or a writer consultant to typically charge. The next thing, and this is pretty important, is talk about what is your plan for communicating. So if you decide to move forward with this person, how will you all communicate? Will you talk through email? Will you talk on the phone? Will you talk through Zoom? Usually, most clients and their freelancers and consultants, they find that talking through instant messenger like a Google Chat or Slack is usually pretty helpful. That way you don't have to worry about some of the longer turnaround times that you can find with email, and right then and there you're able to ask your question or just have a discussion and get it over with. Or you may find that it's a combination of things. Maybe once a week you have a meeting through Zoom to just work through some things together, and then the rest of the time you communicate through email. And if it's really something where feedback is needed right away, you can communicate through an instant messenger like Google Chat or Slack. So it really just depends. The other thing that I would add is, so if you're working with someone and you find that they maybe don't have a portfolio that specifically speaks to the type of industry that you're in, and for you that's important, one of the things that I personally do for clients is I like to create a mood board. I had a client where I did not have the specific experience working in her industry. And so to make sure we were on the same page, I created a mood board of sorts. After I understood what were her business goals, needs, and target audience, I came back with some ideas that I think would work on her business based on just things that I saw from either competitors or just other websites that have great content. And they were from her industry. And so I came back and I said, hey, I believe that this is something that could work for your website. Here's an example that I saw of how, they do this social media or how they do their website content. That's what I would consider best in class. Is that something that you would consider best in class? And that way she was able to know that we were on the same page in terms of what the expectations were. I mean, that's also important too. Keep in mind that when you're looking at those portfolios, if you feel the work is not quality, then chances are they're not going to be able to do quality work for you either, okay? So it's a lesson that I've had to learn in the past. I can recall working in corporate America and taking on a really big project, and I was brought into the project after the agency was hired. And it turned out once we got midway through the project that we realized that we really had different expectations in terms of what was considered best in class content. And so a lot of this can be ironed out in the beginning phases, just really looking at the work in detail and maybe even getting a second opinion on it from a business partner or friend, and just asking what are their thoughts on, the quality of this work before you move forward with working with a consultant or freelancer. Thank you so much for tuning into my video. That's all for this week, and I will see you soon. And before you go, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and share this video with someone that you think this would be helpful for. Thank you. Bye.